We are back with another local band episode this week, starting off with some Salt Lake City pop punk, Johnny Baseball. Their latest album, Still Swinging Back, is a fantastic mix of that hardcore bass pop punk sound that we love from bands like Set Your Goals or the heavier Newfound Glory songs. They just had their album release show, which was awesome. So definitely listen to the album, but also hop on social media and find some clips from that show. Then we finally get into the DFW scene with Gagging Order. Only one EP online from these guys, but they stood out to us, having a more heavy punk feel that has been different than a lot of the other Texas bands we've been listening to that were much more metal based. They recently announced a couple of shows, so definitely catch these guys live coming up soon. And thanks for checking this out, but let's open this pit up. What's up, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast with me, Trevor, and with Kyle, and we're back on Local Band Edition. So, what's up, man?
Too many good local bands to talk about, can't keep up with them. And it's a good problem to have.
You're sticking with the System of a Down.
I am. For now. I'm like, I got to let the beard catch back up to it, so.
Dude, I'm going to make a post just because stick your head out of that. You got a little hole right there. You got a little hole right in the middle.
Yeah, so dude, it doesn't grow there.
Get a social media clip up, and I'm going to circle it and just point. So you can all see the little hole coming in.
Usually my soul patch area grows long enough to cover it, and you don't really notice it, but it's not long enough yet.
Oh, man. But no, man. What's new? What was up this week with you?
Man, not much. I mean, we went hiking yesterday. Well, hiking, and for those who can't see me, I'm doing air quotations because it is Texas, and hiking is just a walk through mud, basically. So,
you went power walking?
It was tight. There's really cool areas out here. There's really cool nature if you're willing to drive a little bit. But we were gonna go to this lake tomorrow because it's been freaking hot. It was 102 degrees on the heat index today. So we were going to go to this lake tomorrow to swim, but the park we're going to is closed down because a tornado ripped through it last night and destroyed a bunch of stuff. So
nice.
And not nice. I think 7 people died.
Oh,
in the tornado.
Bad.
So
not bad.
Yeah. Condolences. Cause it was a nasty storm. So.
I assumed when you said it went through a lake area that it was just out in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah, that was part of it. It went through a neighborhood. It was, I don't know. It was a crazy storm last night. And yeah, I don't know. Anyways, not to start this episode off as a huge boner killer, but yeah, good weekend outside of that, I guess. So What about you, man? You got a haircut. You're talking about my facial hair. Look at your hair.
There's nothing wrong with my hair. You can't talk crap on this, all right? Sure, the long hair is gone, right? But I even have it styled up. My wife makes me use her blow dryer. We're good. So, and again, I have hair, bro. Come at me. Keep fighting me, man.
I don't know. If I grew my hair out, we might have the same hairline. Just saying, man. You might be coming to a point where it's time to cut your losses. So.
Nah, man, it's not that far back. Not yet. When it gets to that point, I have no shame. It will be gone. It's not there yet.
It's one of the most liberating feelings in the world when you've just accepted that you're bald and you shave it. It's great. Because I struggled with it for a while, man. I used to tell people that I had a harder time accepting that I was balding than I did my parents getting divorced. So
you ran with it for a minute. I remember. Yeah. So, but no, my weekend, dude, freaking Madball. We went to Madball 2 nights ago, and it was absolutely incredible.
Sick.
So unfortunately, we were a little bit late, missed the first band, but caught Mask, who's a Salt Lake City band. Absolutely phenomenal. They killed it. And the crowd that was there was the perfect crowd for them. Straight hardcore. Ton of fun, right? But the bass player, guitarist, and drummer were out there, and it's at Kilby Court, right? It's a packed little tiny venue. Capacity is supposed to be, I think, 150. They probably had 200 plus shoved in here.
Yeah.
And They come out, they start playing, and I don't remember the vocalist's name, but he hops up on stage and he just starts ripping. Dude's probably what, mid-50s at this point.
Gotta be in his 50s. Gotta be.
Insane energy,
Yeah.
so fun in that setting. Like the chances that I'll ever see Madball in a small, intimate venue like that again,
Right.
probably zero. You know what I mean?
You know,
And it was awesome.
It's kind of sick though that these older bands, because I'm sure it's kind of like a pendulum, well, not a pendulum, a parabola, right? Like they start off in these small, tiny, packed venues, get a little bigger, play bigger venues, and then now you're on the downswing of their career. They're playing these tiny, packed venues again, you know, and like
Yeah.
kudos to Madball for like doing that still, you know, playing in these small, intimate settings, because that's the only way to see them, you know.
Oh, dude. And shout out to the scene, man. Shout out to everyone who came out and just went wild for him. It was like a 20-song set and they just sang their hearts out.
Sick.
I've always listened to Madball, but it's always been like in the background. You know what I mean? I've never paid attention to the lyrics, so I couldn't like sing along with them. But dude, they were freaking ripping. It was awesome. Like 4 songs in, they're like, "You guys know all the words. We're just going deep cuts. What do you want to hear?" And they just started taking crowd recommendations and just were going off. It was so fun.
Yeah,
so sick.
Cool. Well, in the words of, was it the International Superheroes of Hardcore, Madball's got her back.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Absolutely. It was incredible.
So we haven't talked since this, but I went and saw Hot Water Music in Quicksand.
Yeah.
It's like, what, last week?
Talk about it.
It was a good show. What the frick?
No, tell us about it.
No, not anymore, man. Move on. We'll just move on.
Come on, man. I mean,
I don't want it anymore. You know what?
It's not living up to Madball, but come on, bro.
It's fine. No,
tell us what you got.
You're supposed to return a report, and that's what I'm trying to do. But you don't want me to report, so I'm not going to anymore. We'll move on.
I really do. I'm curious. How did it go?
Well, first of all, it was sick, and so it was Off With Their Heads was the first band, and then Quicksand, and then Hot Water Music. So all of these bands are super old.
Yeah.
So I'd maybe listen to a couple Off With Their Head song like back in the day, you know, pretty just like straight punk, like traditional punk band. They were really cool. Quicksand was amazing. And I didn't know this, but like their first album was 1989. It was like an EP. I've really only listened to like what's their like most famous one.
And for those who are following along, 1989 is before we were born.
Yes, that was the year before I was born. So I don't know anything about it. Slip, that's the album. The ones with the guys that are like diving, you know?
Yeah, yep.
Even that album's like 1993. So I'm like 3 years old when this album comes out. But they were incredible, dude. They were so good. And just old school, like, I guess you would call it hardcore for that time, right?
Sure.
I know that they influenced a lot of bands. Like when we talked to Jay from With Honor, he brought up how, you know, Quicksand's like an influence
for
them and stuff. So they were amazing. And they're one of those bands where you look back and you're just like, I probably will never see them again. Like I actually kind of feel that way about all the bands that played.
Yeah.
But Quicksand was like that. And then Hot Water Music was just amazing. Same thing here, right? Like Chuck Reagan's got to be late 40s. You know,
no,
the first
he's older than that, man.
You think he's 50s? I mean, we talked about Hot Water Music, right? So their first album goes back to like 92, right?
Yeah, let's figure this out. I bet you he's 49. All right.
49.
So
all right.
So he's 50 years old this year.
Yeah, he's basically 50 years old. Dude, he came out, you would never guess it, just like the Madball guy. You'd never guess it, man. He was so high energy. He sounded so good. And there was not that many people here. So for me to be like Barricade singing along to all the Hot Water Music songs was like, dude, it was incredible. So
that's sick.
It's the first concert I've been to in a real long time where I was probably one of the younger kids. Most of the people there were all super old too. There were people there with their high school aged kids. Like I was probably closer in age to their kids than I was to the parents that were actually at the show, you know?
That's insane.
like a mosh pit broke out for Hot Water Music, and I'm just cheering on these like 50-year-olds moshing. I'm like,
Yeah.
get one good mosh in before you go into retirement.
Well, so dude, that was also the fun thing about Madball is some of the old guys started hopping up and like jumping into the crowd and
Yeah.
things. It was cool. So I guess there's a pretty infamous story about Madball rolling through Salt Lake. Sorry, not to cut you off about
No,
hot
no,
water
go.
music,
Yeah, no,
right? But
this is a funny point because we talk a lot of times like we're, again, you can't see me, but I'm air quoting old heads, right?
right,
But you go to these shows and you see the real old heads, and I'm,
right.
like Madball is 100% had a bunch of old heads out.
Well, and this like so he hops up on stage and he's like, there was an infamous Salt Lake scene where Madball was supposed to play a show, and a riot broke out, and like a ton of kids were started fighting like the cops and stuff like that. And he was like, "Who saw us in the '90s?" And there was like three guys who were like, "We were there," and it was like super dope. You know what I mean?
That's
So
crazy.
insane, but
Yeah, that's sick. That's so sick. I'm super glad that we're like getting more into this now as we're getting older. Like I feel like I still have this love and passion, and I want to be the 50-year-old dude going to a show and being like, "Who saw us back in 2003?" And it's like me cheering,
right. Oh
So,
man, but no, absolutely incredible. So fun. They're putting out new music next year. So
oh,
they're
nice.
gonna do a full US tour, he said, through 2025.
All
So
right.
you'll be able to catch Madball next year, it
Well,
sounds like.
I know when they came to Texas last year was when Will to Live played with them,
Yeah.
and I found out about them after that show. So I'm hoping maybe this year Madball will be like, you know what, we'll just have Will to Live run it back, and then that'll be like a dream come true.
Right. There you go. But I mean, there's tons of Dallas bands, and we're gonna talk about Dallas bands today. So, you
Yeah.
know, anyways.
So before we get into all that, new music. What do you got? What have you been
Ooh.
listening to? I got a few. If you want me to start, I got a few.
Good. You start. You start.
All right. So the One Step Closer album, the full album dropped.
Yep.
It's dope.
I need to
It's
get through the whole thing still.
not as heavy as their other album, which I was kind of surprised by.
Yeah.
It's still super good, but I was expecting a little heavier of an album. But it still rocks, man. It's like if the story so far screamed a little bit. Is kind of what it
Okay.
reminded me. It's really good.
I mean, I've listened to all the singles. I need to get to the full length, but everything I've heard so far, I'm super pumped. As soon as they announced that second leg of the tour, I bought tickets. Like I've got
Yeah,
my tickets to Koyo and One Step Closer as soon as they're here. So
yeah.
I'm way excited for it.
It's gonna be
And
a sick show.
that's Kilby as well, dude.
That'll be, dude. You're so lucky. That'll be sick. I
Bro,
actually don't know what venue it is down here, but
just
that's a perfect
come,
venue.
bro. Just you
When
don't
is
need to
it? When are
live
they? When are
down.
they playing?
I'll look it up. I'll look it up
Okay,
and I'll
I'm
send
probably
it.
not going to do it, but go ahead, go through the work, man. Send me the stuff.
I think
All
it's
right.
July. I think it's in July.
It ain't happening. All right. As I Lay Dying released a single.
I saw they released it. I haven't listened.
The
Was it
only
any
good
good?
about the song is that the like art for the single is actually super sick. But I was not a fan of the single, and not
Yeah.
because not because it was like super metally. It just felt way overproduced. Like the bass on the drums doesn't even sound like someone's really playing it.
I mean, they probably aren't.
Yeah. That was I mean, the song itself's fine. Like the song itself is fine. It sounds like old As I Lay Dying. I'm kind of bugged that they sing now. Like I wish they didn't.
That's
But
what
it's
they
still,
do.
I know.
So,
But like musically, the song was fine. It felt so overproduced that I was like, this sounds like AI wrote an As I Lay Dying song.
and you know what? I actually probably am going to be there for it. You know what I mean?
Probably.
Like, I just listened to the first 30 seconds of it. You're right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But it still has the same riffage as normal As I
Yeah.
Lay Dying, everything like that. So if you're,
It
again,
sounds like an As I Lay Dying song.
it sounds like an As I Lay Dying song, so we'll have to see.
Yeah.
I think Austrian Death Machine's putting out new music too. So
Okay.
we'll have to see how that sounds comparatively.
That'll be cool. Yeah. Did you hear the new Devil Wears Prada song?
So not
I
Ritual.
guess it's
The
I guess it's technically a re-release of a song, right? And they just added that Lolo.
okay, I didn't listen to it.
Okay, it's basically an Icy Stars ripoff. Like I would, Icy Stars did the sound better, is my opinion.
Reasons?
I think that I think that's what it is. So
It's too slow for me. I have it on right now.
yeah, it's I don't know. I've heard that they're done and they're
Who?
only releasing singles now. The Devil Wears Prada, like that's what I've heard is that like they're not making albums anymore. They're just like
Where are you getting this information?
the news, man. I don't know, like sources. All right, I can't disclose.
They just
can't
dropped
disclose them.
Ritual.
Yeah, they're just releasing a few singles. That's what I've heard. That's what my journalistic investigations have come up with.
So Reddit?
Pretty much. All right.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I just listened to part of it. You know, I think that it falls in line with what they've been doing the last several albums. It's a lot more, it's more ambient, right? Like there's a lot more stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff in the background, electronics, all of that kind of stuff. So it sounds like what they're currently doing. If you're a fan of that, you're probably going to like it.
Yeah. And if you like Icy Stars.
Yeah. But no, man. Any other new ones?
Not songs, but there's one tour that I wanted to talk about, which is the Dropkick Murphys tour.
That looks sick.
Doing this fall with Pennywise. Heck yeah, dude.
That looks awesome.
I'm hitting that up for sure.
Okay.
So
where are they playing down there?
At like a normal venue, not at like they're not playing at a huge stadium. You know, like they do like the like USANA type.
Really?
They're playing it. Yeah, no, they're playing it just like a normal stadium down, like a not stadium, a normal venue down here. So
I wonder
it's gonna be sick.
Was there oh, it's at the Union here. I mean, the Union's not the biggest. It's okay. That's where we saw Thrice. And so the one thing I'll say about the Union, it has to fill in. It's a big enough space. If there's not enough bodies to kind of help with the sound, it kind of echoes in there. So like I said this when I saw Be Well with the Newfound Glory show, it didn't sound that good.
Okay.
Like just not enough people had filled in. It was echoing. The sound quality wasn't great. So as long as bodies are in there, it's fine. It's a cool venue, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm just glad that they're not playing these like USANA or down here in Dallas, the big ones, the Toyota
100%.
So, because again, I think Dropkick Murphys now is on the downswing of the parabola. I don't know. I never learned math. Of where it's like they're not playing these huge crowds anymore, you know? So
the bell curve. They're on the right hand side of the bell curve.
Exactly.
So okay.
Mr. Math Wizard over here. Jeez. You know your technical terms. Man. The right side. The right hand side.
I think that's the technical term, but you know, whatever. No, man. Census Fell with Saves the Day. That tour got announced. Playing Let It Enfold You front to back. And what's the Saves the Day album called?
It's like the one from like
99.
Yeah.
Through Being Cool.
That right. That's right.
So they're playing those Let It Enfold You and Through Being Cool front to back. I am so pumped for this. Like, you know what? I can take as much shit as anyone wants to throw my way. Let It Enfold You is one of my all-time favorite albums. It is the pinnacle of my emo phase, and I don't care. Like, I sit there and
why would anyone give you shit for that? It's a good album.
Oh, dude. You go read those lyrics.
Sure, but any person that's like our age that's in the scene that says they don't like at least one Census Fail album is lying to you.
That's true. But Let It Enfold You is like even more so on like the emo aspect of everything. Like as soon as they went to their next album, Still Searching, you know, I think that lyrically it still has some of that stuff, but it did get a little bit more aggressive. The sound got more aggressive. Like this is straight post-hardcore emo core. Like Hot Topic, cut my wrist, black my eyes level of emo core. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And dude, I love it. I love Let It Unfold You so much. And then through being cool, this Saves the Day album. This is the first time I heard Saves the Day.
Oh, seriously?
Probably pretty early on. Yeah, because I think that one of my cousins, a couple of my cousins, used
Or
to listen
okay.
to Saves the Day.
I
So
misunderstood that. I thought you were saying that this is like the first time you've listened to Saves the Day is like right now. And I was like, dude, I'm about to punch you through the ether, you know?
no, I heard this album when I was 8 years
Yeah.
old, 9 years
Okay.
old.
Yeah.
But this was the first album I heard from Saves the Day. So I'm super pumped for this. It's going to be
Yeah.
so sick.
Yeah. That's going to
So
be sick tour. I'm going to try and hit it up too because I think it's coming to Dallas. So
yeah, I got my
I'm
tickets right away. So
I'm going for Saves the Day though. Like, look, I like Census Fails. Like, I'll fine with me. Like, I'll
yeah,
listen to them. I don't have an issue with them, but I'm definitely going for Saves the Day. I did not get into Census Fail as much as like you or Chris did. So
yeah. No,
it's good stuff.
listen. Our friends used to call me the emo kid in the group. Like I don't care. Like that.
They were,
That's what
I
I
think you did.
liked. I
All
love
right.
that stuff. So I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm all for it.
So I read this thing again through my investigative journalism.
AKA Reddit.
No, it actually wasn't Reddit. But somebody had made a comment that, like, you know how like Billboard, how they have all the records of like most
Yeah.
like top albums or whatever. Somebody was making the argument that counting statistics for streaming shouldn't count the same as like people back in the day that had to go buy albums and stuff. And so, because people are saying that, what was it? The SZA, I think that's SSZA. How do you say that? Is it SZA? Okay.
Your
Her
guess is
album
as good as mine.
is 12 weeks away from becoming the longest running top 10 album by, this article specifically says, by a black artist in Billboard 200 history, behind Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Okay.
And so people are saying, like, should we consider these the same when all you have to do to listen to SZA is just click a button, when all these people 20 years ago had to go to a store and physically buy, copies of Michael Jackson's album? Like the level of like commitment people had for Michael Jackson and these records he holds should be weighed more than just clicking a button on Spotify. Like, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. My counterpoint to that though is specifically if you're going like all the way back to Michael Jackson, because that's as far back as it was, albums were what at the time, $5,
Yeah.
maybe $7 for a new album. Which I get it, right? Like the way inflation works, like that was a decent amount of money back then. But at the same time, most people had $5. Like it wasn't huge at that time, where versus even like 90s, early 2000s, once you started to get like $15-$20 an album, like I feel like that was actually like a financial commitment to like putting money towards artists you liked, bands you enjoyed, and things like that. And it got to that point with some of these older artists and older bands and stuff, but you used to be able to go get albums for pretty cheap
Yeah.
initially. I do think that it should just be counted differently.
Yeah.
It's not the same conversation
It's
at
not.
all.
Yeah, it's not. Like, respect to her, right? Like, winning any of the, like some of the records that like Taylor Swift is breaking or whatever, like all the like accolades she's getting for plays and being top of streaming charts and all that stuff. Like, obviously that's crazy, but at the same time, like Michael Jackson was doing this 25, 30 years ago with like no streaming services. People didn't even, like,
Right.
people probably didn't even know when his albums came out. They're just like, you had to go to a freaking CD store or to like a I don't know, like Walmart type store or
Yeah.
Target and actually like see that his album's coming out, And so I just,
Right.
yeah, it should be metric different. And I don't know that like you should compare stats or say like she's breaking Michael Jackson's plays records. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think that's fair,
I completely agree. The problem with streaming today is you can engagement farm.
Yeah.
You can literally just have people sitting there, click the album, run it through all day, all night, 24 hours for months straight.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we get all of our plays,
Right. I mean, every single play is just us on repeat. Like,
Exactly. We're about to break all these records too. Joe Rogan.
but no, like in all reality, like it's the way the world works. Unfortunately, it's just like it's all about clout. It's all about engagement
Yeah.
farming. We even like had a message today on social medias from what clearly was a fake account, being like, "Send us one of your clips you just posted, so we can post it to our 50,000 followers." It's 50,000 bots. No one's real following
Yeah.
that. And so it's just like it's so stupid. Unfortunately, the numbers, the metrics is the world we live in. It just shouldn't be counted the same.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true.
So,
That's true. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting discussion. This is
not
the
to
first time.
discredit anyone who's like putting music on streaming services, because I'm talking about like big artists, right? Any like small bands, anyone that we're talking at the local scene, if you're getting 5 to 10,000 monthly listeners, I'm
That's
assuming
huge.
those 5 to 10,000 are legitimate people who are
Yeah.
listening to your stuff. And that's incredible. That's awesome. It's when you get into these Post Malones, SZA, Taylor Swifts, all these stupid giant pop stars and things where the numbers are fake. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
I saw
sure,
another. I saw
but
another. It was on, I think, Instagram, and there was like a reel that popped up of this musician that was. They were recording one of their bandmates on the phone with a record label, and they're like, "Sorry, like unless you get." I can't remember what the number was. I want to say it was like 50,000 plays on every song. Like they're not even going to consider you for a record deal, and it's like, man, that's whack.
yeah,
Like that's whack.
right.
I don't know this band if they were even any good, so they probably could have been like, some gorecore band talking about,
Maybe.
stuff that we've talked about before. But I'm just saying, like, it's just, I don't know. It's like, it's so weird because music has been simultaneously easier and harder to be involved with, like
Yeah.
it's easier to get your music out there, but it's also harder to like do anything with it because there's just so much of it and people are so numbers driven, like you were saying.
Yeah. Which kudos to the hardcore scene specifically, right? Still DIY, still booking their own shows. Freaking Madball playing a 150 cap room.
Yeah.
Like, just go play. People are here to watch. People are here to come see your stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's awesome. So be involved with your local scene. I'm throwing shade at you there, Kyle. But no,
you're,
it's cool.
you're trying to get me to fly out to Salt Lake, dude. The first thing I would do is freaking throat punch you. So.
Listen, if you're here, I don't care. Hit me. So,
all right.
But yeah, what I was saying before then. No, it's a very interesting conversation. State of the scene, the industry, whatever. But what I've had on repeat all week, Johnny Baseball. Let's get into it now.
Yeah, dude.
So this new album just dropped on Friday. And well, let me ask you first, because I'm going to gush over it for the next 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
what did you think about this? The album is still swinging back.
So I'll say that, this might apply to both the bands that we're going to talk about today. I think production quality compared to some of the other bands we've talked about is maybe not as high.
Ooh, I'll fight you on that.
Music quality is top notch. So
Okay.
pop punk has gone through these weird phases. It's a lot like ska music, where there's all these like waves and generations of pop punk, and I am here for the like hardcore influenced pop punk revival that's going on right now. And Johnny Baseball is 100% the poster child for this revival. 100%. It is so good.
Right. And I will fight you, dude. I actually think this album sounds really freaking good. I think that the way that they recorded it, the way that like what they're trying to get across, it totally gets captured in the sound. You want to talk about like going from the As I Lay Dying, overproduced, all of that kind of stuff. These dudes were playing. Like it sounds like they were playing. The quality sounds like they were playing. It is a solid pop punk, hardcore based album.
Yeah.
And dude, I have loved it.
It's not super good. I think I was more referring, maybe it's just the speakers I was listening to it through. Just, I don't know. It was weird. but I like the songs.
So Johnny Baseball is interesting. Okay. So I hopped on their Facebook and I went all the way to the beginning. They started in 2012, like just
Jeez.
years and years ago. And all of a sudden there's like a gap in December of 2012 until 2022. And so I'm going to be really interested. Met these guys the other night. I'm going to go chat them up. They have a CD release, album release show coming up here in a couple weeks. So I'm going to connect and chat with them. But I'm curious to find out why they started, why they took the break, and then what got them back together. But they have released two things since 2022. The first EP is Don't Talk About It, Be About It. It is a 5-song, 11-minute EP, and it's just straight pop punk.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is it's good. Okay, I enjoy this kind of pop punk. It's I I hate saying it, but it's what Neck Deep says: generic pop punk. You know what I mean? And it doesn't quite have the same hardcore feel. It doesn't have the same like heavier feel that
Yeah.
Still Swinging has, but it's good. I like it.
Yeah.
I think that Fences was probably the song that kind of caught me, that I thought was a really good song. And like I said, it's 11 minutes long. It's worth your time.
I feel like, back then, I mean, sorry, remind me when this album came out, 2022?
2022.
2022.
So pandemic, right?
Yeah. And I feel like at that point, like if you're playing pop punk, you're playing the Neck Deep generic pop punk. Because that's what Neck Deep is really making their big run too, like they're getting huge then. So I think if you're gonna play pop punk, and you almost feel like you have to play a sound like that,
Yeah.
So I don't like it's a good album. I've heard these songs, it's a good album.
Yeah.
But I think Still Swinging Back is just a whole nother level for him. So
Yeah. So as soon as you pop on Still Swinging Back, look out below. Super solid intro, minute 37. But it's like, it's that hardcore pop punk that's just like two-steppy, just like,
yeah,
it's just fun. You know what I mean? Song number 2, though, Where I Stay. What'd you think about this song?
I'm trying to think of who it reminds me of, but I can't.
Okay.
Like I can't think of it. But no, dude, I love it. I
Okay,
think it's way good.
Let me throw this to you and tell me. And listen, Johnny Baseball, if you guys hate these guys, I'm sorry. I love them. But Man Overboard. It feels like a Man Overboard song.
Okay.
Like specifically the Yellow album. What was that
I
album
don't know
called?
Man Overboard like at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just couldn't. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't do it.
I really like Man Overboard. And as soon as I put this on, like I was like, oh dude, that's like, it feels like a Man Overboard song. And I love Man Overboard. So I was cool with it. And it stood out. It stood out from the rest of the album because it is the more kind of slow. It's not slower pop punk, right? But more melodic sounding pop punk is probably the way to describe it. And it's just kind of different than everything else on the album. And so like it caught me really, really hard.
This one feels more like a generic pop punk, not in a bad way. I just want to make that very clear. We are not saying generic in a bad way, right? Because it's still very good. But this sounds more like a generic pop punk song.
Yeah.
In the term that Neck Deep.
That Neck Deep uses it, right. Yeah. So, but then they go into Good Dudes Backed Hard, and it's just straight hardcore.
This is like my favorite song from the album, dude. It's so freaking good. And again, it's a true hardcore song because it's a minute long.
Yep. It's just fast. It's aggressive. It just gets right to the point. You got the 2-step in there. So sick.
These kind of this album, honestly, though, kind of reminds me of like the heavier Newfound Glory albums. Like digging my own grave,
Yep. For
stuff
sure.
like that. So one thing that's funny about these guys though is you told me you were going to talk about them, and I think you sent me the album, and I was in my car, so I just clicked the album. I had my kids in the car and everything.
My
Just
bad.
click on the album, put it on, didn't know anything about it, dude. And that's like, oh, that song says the F word, skip. Like, oh, my kids are in the car. Oh, that song says the F word, skip. Oh, wait, that song says the F. Yeah, dude. My kids heard the F word a lot in the car listening to this album.
My bad. I should have thrown that out to you. But listen, I'm not gonna take too much blame because one thing that I did want to bring up that's kind of funny is you live down in Texas now, and you met one of their guitar players' brothers
Yeah.
randomly,
Yeah,
and
dude.
he gave you fair warning
Uh-huh.
that they could drop the
That's a
F
good
a
point.
lot.
Okay. It's funny because I met the guitarist brother down here. And he was like, yeah, dude, my brother plays in a band in Salt Lake. I was like, oh, really? Who? He's like, you probably don't know him. I was like, well, I kind of like am involved with the Salt Lake scene, so I probably know him. He's like, yeah, it's Johnny Baseball. I was like, oh, yeah. Like, we were literally just talking to them on social media.
Yeah,
So it was just small world, like super small world, this random town in Texas. And I live
right.
like a few blocks down from his brother.
It's awesome. But I just like the way that this album's structured, it hit everything that I love about pop punk. It has the hardcore pop punk, a ton of set your goals. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You get pop punk breakdowns in there. It's awesome. You know what I mean? But then you have some of the lighter stuff. I know you don't love it, but like Eye to Eye, just like the lyrical content and everything, it feels like a Blink 182 song. It's kind of gimmicky,
Yeah.
and like I like that stuff. And then Adderall Enema, this was a song that both of they posted, like what's your favorite song? And I threw out Where I Stay, and they're like, really, like Adderall Enema is like our favorite to play. So like that's way dope. But
Yeah.
like There's No Tomorrow is a D's Nuts cover. So that's super sick.
Which
But
says a lot
still,
about, I guess, their
who they are.
background too, right? Yeah.
Yep. Still swinging back though. What a freaking way to kind of wrap up this album. I know like There's No Tomorrow is the last song, but like this is Still Swinging Back is their song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it has an awesome breakdown in this song. Fast, heavy,
Yep.
aggressive. Gonna be so sick. So
Because what's interesting about pop punk right now is that, I would say one of the like bigger bands is like Koyo.
yeah.
But Koyo's very much got some like emo influence in it, right?
Yeah.
Like these guys remind me of like No Pressure, but they break down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's not this like, because I feel like a lot of the new pop punk right now that's coming out that people are obsessed with, like Arm's Length, very emo driven. There's like a lot of emo now that's in pop punk. And these guys were just kind of like, nah, we're just going to do fast in your face pop punk like No Pressure does, but we're going to break down in it. And it's a perfect fit, right?
Do you think it's emo or is it more of like a post-hardcore? Like, so this is like hardcore based pop punk, right?
Yeah.
Koyo to me feels like a post-hardcore based pop punk.
Think of like Anxious.
Yeah.
Same type of thing, right? Feels like it's more emo driven.
Sure. Okay.
So
yeah,
all I'm saying is that like maybe this is just semantics about different musics from different parts of the country, but I appreciate this kind of pop punk because it's not like emo undertones of the music. It's just straight fast, very like pop punk with a capital punk. You know what I mean?
sure.
And I like that. I like the faster, more aggressive pop punk. Most of the pop punk bands that we've talked about on this podcast have been exactly that too, So if you're a fan of what we've said about those other bands, like Set Your Goals and the story so far, you're going to like this. Definitely you're going to like this.
100%. So overall, I'd say that my favorite song on the album though, and it's probably one of my favorite pop punk songs that has like come out in the last year, is Pump the Brakes. So good. It's fast, but it has like, there's a part at like 40 seconds where it has a very catchy Cast Your Words Like Stones, Hoping for Broken Bones. Like the lyrics are cool. They're fun. It's going to be cool to sing along, but they like go up in tone. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's very Set Your Goals-esque.
Yes.
Where it's like the fast drum pattern when they're just like kind of talking, then it comes in with the guitar side, and then it goes like really fast back into the.
Yeah.
Like
So
verse the song.
huge fan of that. But the whole album, 22 minutes long, you can listen again to both the EP and the album in 33 minutes. It's worth the 33 minutes of your day to go listen to just everything here. We say that about every local band, smaller discography.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Go listen to it. I'm super pumped for their album release show. I don't know exactly when this episode's dropping, so it might have already happened, but they're playing with Absolved, Spent, and Run Into the Sun. So all Salt Lake.
Yeah.
We've already talked about Absolved, and Spent just dropped some new singles. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be a way fun show.
And these shows with these type of pop punk bands are always the funnest.
Yep.
Because it's literally like you can just go 100% of the time, right? Yes. You're either stage diving, gang vocals, dogpiling, two-stepping, or with their breakdowns, like you're straight up swinging.
Right.
I have a ton of fun at these types of shows. So I'm hoping with the connection with the guitarist's brother that I can get him to come down to Texas. So
fight me, man. Just come up to Utah.
I'm not coming up to Utah. It's too cold.
Dude, we're freaking in June, man. Like it was cold last week, but you're good.
That's cold. Right.
All right. Whatever. So yeah, check it out. Still swinging back.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll jump into the band that I'm talking about, which there's honestly not like a ton, but like Trevor said that he made me feel bad about. I have not done a very good job at getting super involved yet with the local scene here in Dallas, and I'm trying to change that. So we're going to talk about a band called Gagging Order. So this was a band that I chose because I've seen them pop up multiple times as I'm following, the local venues and local promoters and stuff like that here in Dallas. It's surprising that they've got like a pretty decent following, it feels like. And the only music that's on Spotify is a 5-song, 7-minute EP,
Yeah.
So, it's Gagging Order out of DFW. The EP dropped back in 2021. I have not seen anything new music related in a little bit. They are playing shows and stuff. We'll get into that in a second, but before I get into the rest of what I want to say, what did you think of these guys?
So it's different, right? It is like, how do you, it's like punk. I don't want to sound like a dumbass, right? Right?
I mean, dude, we're way past that. We've been doing this for a whole year. We're way past that. We're the biggest idiots ever. So
I know. It's like a very like punk-based hardcore though.
Yeah.
Like it's different than what we've been listening to. It's not super heavy. I don't know if that's the way to describe it. But it doesn't feel like super heavy to me. But it kind of is. It's not beat down.
Not caveman. It's not caveman like ignorant hardcore that we, are fans of. So
like I'm like listening to the song Gagging Order right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like
it's almost grungy. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm going to sound like a dumbass.
It's not grungy. It's not
a very
grungy.
Unique sound, dude.
It's a very unique sound. It's different. It's simple. We've talked about like simple, like easy to play stuff musically. It's a very simple. It's a moshing type of thing, but it's not like a swinging type of sound. It's like they want people to circle. They want people to go side to side. There's a lot of 2-step parts, like heavy 2-step parts kind of thing. And every now and again, there is the little bit slower part where if you want to throw haymakers, you could throw haymakers.
Yeah.
It's different. And
it is.
I don't know. I don't really know who to compare it to. I'm sure that there's a complete list of people who the internet's just gonna be like, you guys suck. Like Gagging Order sounds like this band, this band, this band. But like off the top of my head, there's not a ton for me to be like, like that's who they should be with. That's who they should tour with.
Well, I was gonna say like
go anywhere.
Maybe we're shortchanging them a little bit, trying to think of who they sound like. I mean, it's a unique sound. They sound like, yeah, maybe there's bands out there that sound like them, but we listen to a lot of music and I can't really think of any. And it's just a unique sound. And it's fun though to listen to because like you said, it's simple, but it still kind of keeps you on your toes because you're thinking about like the song Gagging Order, probably their best song in my opinion.
I agree.
You get into like a minute into that song and it kind of slows down a little bit to where you're probably swinging maybe side to siding and stuff, but then it like pauses for a second and then it just goes like really fast. And so like it's not over complicated music, but it still keeps you on your toes because there's tempo changes. There's, kind of unique guitar parts that come out of nowhere for, 10, 15 seconds that, brings kind of the change and dynamic to the song. But yeah, I've been super impressed listening to these guys. So
Yeah. So the one other thing too, gagging order, if this gets to you guys, like post some sort of bio. Like there's no information on you guys.
yeah,
Like I'd be super curious because they're playing with some of the bigger DFW bands.
yeah,
One of their first shows was a Madball show.
yep,
These guys had to have been in other bands or have some sort of connections or like pretty deep into the scene kind of thing, which is why I'm going to throw shade at you, right? Like go and meet these dudes, right?
yeah,
Like let's figure out who these guys are. But they're playing cool stuff. They're playing cool
yeah.
shows. They played with Scal at one point. There's videos
Mm-hmm.
up online of that. And I gotta give their vocalist a ton of credit. The dude goes wild on
Yeah,
stage.
he goes
Like
hard.
he hops off, he's moshing, he's throwing fists. Like it was a really cool thing to like watch the videos of them up on stage, all because of his stage presence. So like kudos to him, man. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, dude, they were on the bill for Unity TX.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big band now,
Yeah.
They were on the bill for that. And like, yeah, dude, they're playing like these big shows. They're opening for all these huge hardcore bands coming through. Like, it's definitely a band that you need to check out and listen to. And it's 8 minutes to listen to it. But
Right.
and
But
here's sorry, go ahead.
well, this is what I was saying when I was trying to figure out like how to describe them. Listen to just like Riot Machine, the last song on there. It's more of just like a punk song more than anything. Like
Yeah.
it's just like a heavier punk song. So they're definitely hardcore, right? Like they do the
You know
hardcore
who they
feel.
okay, they remind me of Rotting Out, but with a deeper vocal.
Okay.
I mean, you can sit there and stare at me.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, it's like a Rotting Out type hardcore.
Yeah. But like again, and I listen to like Social Norm and it's the guitar riff in there. That's a much more like punk riff than like a hardcore riff.
Yeah.
Like it's interesting. So it's a cool sound. I'm a fan of these guys. It's a cool sound, but it's different. The bands that you're gonna see these guys with, like when they're playing with heavy bands, they're gonna be the odd man out kind of thing. But you're still gonna have fun. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna be like you're gonna stand around. It's gonna be fun.
So the reason why I picked these guys, getting into Texas hardcore, it's very metal influenced. Very, very metal influenced, right? This was an interesting change of pace. Like I know there's other bands that have come out of Texas that have not been like super metal influenced, like Bitter End is one of those. There's a couple other bands right now. There's like Strange Joy, there's Heat, there's oh shoot, what was this other one? They had a super weird name, but I'm sure we're going to get around to talking to them because they're sick. Drip Fed. There's a few unique, like very unique sounding, but for the most part, like what I've listened to through most of like my research journalism into Texas hardcore, it's very metal focused. This is not. This is like old school, like when punk is transitioning into hardcore type sound, very unique, but just seems like it's a blast. I saw the videos that you were talking about of these guys playing shows. Like the singer gets into it, you know he's having fun. And if there's any bands that are starting out that are listening to us, I don't care if there's 5, 10 people in the crowd. If you guys are performing, those people are enjoying it, right?
For sure.
And so, like, kudos to these guys. It makes the music more fun. It makes their sound even more fun and unique to know that they're up there having a blast, going hard. So I will be watching for these guys in the next little bit, and I'm going to go see them.
100%.
Absolutely.
I went back and I looked at like Scal. Scal is actually a really good example of who these guys are, especially early Scal. It's that more punk, faster hardcore, early hardcore sound. So Scal, them being on the Scal show actually made a lot of sense. They're playing with heavier bands, but if like you want a frame of reference, that's what you should be like comparing it to. It's fast punk, hardcore. That's the stuff that it sounds like, in my opinion. Scal is actually probably a really good comparison to what these guys are kind of doing. End of rant.
All right. I 100% agree with you. So,
yeah, no, I'm a fan. I liked it. I think that watching their videos kind of solidified them for me, though. Because like if I had just heard this and I didn't see how they were acting on stage, like their vocalists and stuff, hopping down, interacting with the crowd, the pit, and everything like that, this kind of stuff doesn't usually catch my attention quite as much. I'm not like you. I'm not usually like straight punk. Like punk, I've always liked punk and everything, but punk's lower on my list typically. So, these guys give me crap, man. But these guys definitely stood out. Like they were cool. They were fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to start doing a bunch more DFW bands or just Texas bands in general. So we'll get to, some of the more metal influenced ones, but this was a great way to start. And like I said, this EP was out in 2021. They've been playing shows. I think they've played shows this year even. So I'm really hoping that they're, back in the studio making more music. And, I'll probably have to hit them up and see if, we can get some more information on them. Cause I'm a fan too. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Totally agree. Again, not exactly sure when this episode comes out. If it hasn't come out by June 7th, go see the the Johnny Baseball and Absolved show for the CD release of Johnny Baseball. If it hasn't, you missed out. Watch the videos on social medias. So
heck yeah, dude.
Sick. Cool, man. Well, anything else?
Nah, dude. I'm cool. These are fun. Just keep making music, We want to hear it.
I'm going to post Kyle's phone number for DFW guys, so start calling him.
Yeah.
You laugh, but I've got to do it one
don't
day.
Do
it. All right. Okay, well, we'll catch you next week. We teased this earlier, but we're doing Shai Hulud, right? And we're going to catch Josh for that. So that'll be next week.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff coming up. Cool. So,
all right. Well,
peace. Man.